Hi, kindergarten, and welcome to our computer class for this week. Um, and today we are going to look at two sites that we have seen before, but in one way refresh our memory, and in another way maybe try out some other things on a site. So let's get started. And on your web browser, if you use Google Chrome, or there are several others, we want to go to each of these two sites. And with either of them, you could type them in or you could click on links and get to them. So the first one that we're going to go to is Raz Kids. And if I just typed Raz Kids and pressed enter, I see that site and can click on it and can get to Raz Kids that way. There are also other ways, like through Weymouth Portal, like we've talked about before, that we can get to Raz Kids. And right here, I'll go through Weymouth Portal. That's from our school website, a little down on the left, and we've been to it many times. Now, Raz Kids is not in the computers and technology section because if you remember, it has to do with reading. So if I go down a little bit, there is a section that says language arts, which has to do with reading and writing and words and letters and vocabulary. And there's one with a happy face right there that says Raz Kids. So I'll give it a quick click. And it pulled it up in the teacher's classroom, Mrs. Lopez, P. Lopez 67. But let's say, for instance, it didn't, because that's one thing we want to remember back from when I talked about Raz Kids in the beginning of the year, I think back in September or maybe October, is if it comes to a page like this and you have to type in the classroom for your teacher. For Mrs. Lopez, we want to type P. Lopez, Lopez, 67, and then hit enter or press go. And now we see everybody in the class, and I have a sample account here to show you guys. And here are all of your names, so you find yours and click on it. I'm going to click on sample. And then this site uses a picture password. So all of you got a card in the beginning of the year, and a letter went home for mom and dad where we have two pictures. And I'm going to put it in for the sample account. You click on them and click go. And if we remember, that brings you to the main screen of Raz Kids. And the main thing that you want to do when you're on this site is go to this section right here that says Level Up. And when you go into Level Up, it gives you all of these different books, many, many ones for you to choose from, where you can listen to that book being read, right, with that little headphone icon, or you can try to read it yourself. So I see this book out. I could give it a click and listen to it or read it myself. Now, listening to it, it'll just start playing and you can follow along. Let's pretend I'm reading it to myself. So I clicked on that book. And once I look at the cover and read that title out, I use this button to go to the next page, right? And I could always use this back button right here, and it'll take me forward and back in Raz Kids in the books. And so I would read and go out of the car. Now, that page I didn't get stuck on any words, so that's great. But let's say I was ready to go on to the next page and I said, out of the oh, I'm not sure about this one. I could use my picture clues and see if I could figure it out that way. I could try to sound it out and use different reading strategies. But if I still wasn't sure, if I give any of those words one click, I can hear the word,
Wagon.
right? So if I went to any word, that was the word wagon, but any word, give it a click. And then the first option right here
Out.
says hear word.
Out. Of.
Okay, and I would continue to do that until I finished the book and read every word on every page. Now, this is the beginning levels of reading, so it only has listening to reading or reading it to yourself. There is also, once you get to a certain level, the option to take a quiz on what you read, where it'll ask you, I think, 5 questions, and you pick from answer choices, and it will also read the questions, read the answer choices if you needed to see if you understand or remember what you read about. Now, if you're done, there's one little detail about Raz Kids, or you're done reading a book, you're done listening to a book, taking a quiz. When we go on any internet site, there are these buttons up here that most kids learn very easily. A back button, which will take us back a page, or a forward button, or a refresh button. When you're in Raz Kids, you don't really want to use those. That's not going to work the best. What's going to work the best is if you use the buttons on the Raz Kids pages. So this one right here says back to reading. And if I click that, that's going to work a little better for me because it makes sure that I don't get signed out of my account. Now, there is also this place called the Reading Room where it has other ways to read, other books, other different things that you can do there. But aside from Level Up, the other thing that you can do once you've read some books, once you've gained some stars, and I see right here I have 480 stars, once you've gained some, you can go in the Star Zone. And if you remember this, you can either build your avatar or your robot, or add things to your rocket by buying them with your stars, changing them around, customizing them, and making them cooler and cooler as you get more stars and get to higher levels. All right, so I do want you to spend some time today, if you can, on Raz Kids. Mom or Dad could email me if they don't remember anybody's picture password. Those pages were handed out or given out to go home in the beginning of the year. But I do want you to spend a little time on there, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, reading through some of the books and taking a couple minutes to customize the things in your Star Zone if you want. And when you're done, and done everything on Raz Kids, you can press log out from there at the top. Now, the other site that we're going to go to, again, we could type it in or we could click on links, and it's called Room Recess. And we've seen it before, but it's kind of similar to a site like ABC that I know kids learn a lot, know well, where there are so many different things to do that you could go to that site 100 times and try lots of different things every time. So, Room Recess, I typed in the words Room and Recess, searched, and I see it right here. Or, again, I could go to the school's homepage, Weymouth Portal, and Room Recess is in this Computers and Technology section. And I want to find it kind of in alphabetical order, which means it starts with A's, goes to C's, and Room Recess starts with an R. But I put a K by it, so it's really easy for kindergarten to find. So there's the happy faces, and it's kind of a group of them here. And it's this one, which is the last happy face in the group, that says K Room Recess. And if I give that a click, it'll take me to the same site. Now, it does something that's really similar to ABC. First, let me go back to the main page. And if you got here by typing in the site and clicking on it, you could see the categories of games and really every single level. So if I went to reading right here, or word games, it's going to give me tons of them. And some of those for kindergarten could be really difficult because they might be meant for second, third, fourth grade kids. So what's actually best for kindergarten is to look up here and click on this K. See how it has K, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we click on that K, that's actually going to be a much, much better way to go and find things that are great for kindergarten. Now, really, you could try out just about any of these that you want. Okay, so you could try any of them, but I'll point out two today that would maybe be a little bit better for kindergarten. And we had looked at some of these before. We had looked at some of these others before earlier in the year, but let's look at two that would be good for kindergarten. I'm going to look down till I see this one called Cloudy Day, and give it a click. And in all the games that I've seen on Room Recess, have a choice between am I using a keyboard and mouse or a laptop or a touch screen like an iPad. And if you're using a Chromebook or a laptop or a keyboard and mouse on a computer, you want to click on that. Let me turn my volume down a little bit. And you can choose from just short vowels, long vowels, or both. These are things that I know that we talk about in kindergarten. But I'm just going to try.
That matches the picture.
Let me turn that down a little bit. I'm just going to try the short vowels. Now, there is a box right here on this page, and so what I want to do is look at the top and see if I can figure out some of those words. So the word box begins with that sound b. So I might look and see, well, that's an L. Oh, that's an E. That's a C. Oh, but here, there's a word with a B, and there's a word with a B sound, and it's box. So I know I'm going to look for a B, and then that sound, which is made by an O. So here's B-O, X at the end. I know that's the right word. I give it a click.
Box.
And there's that word box. Next, what is this guy right here? Well, if I wasn't sure, and I can tell because he's pretty simple, but I could click on this speaker icon.
Rug.
And it'll tell me
Rug.
frog, right? So then I compare it to these words at the top. And these give you simpler words for kids your age that are just learning letters and words and reading. And I want to look for the word that might be frog. It's not going to start with a G, like the word gum, or an S, like the word star, C, like the word cat, H, like the word hen, or F, like the word frog, and give it a click.
Frog.
All right, now you can keep going and can do that for a while and see how many you can get. But I will just point out one other site that is great for kindergartners. I'm sorry, one other game on the site that's great for kindergartners, and that is this one right here, Critter Counter. So I'll give that a click, and then again, click on mouse and keyboard if that's what you're using. And
Count the critters.
we have two options. We can either count how many
the
critters we
critters.
see
Find
or
the number.
find a certain number.
Count
So
the
let's try the
critters.
first
How
one.
high can you count? Count the critters in
And
my
here
barnyard.
I picked
Click on the animals as you count to keep track. When you're finished counting, click on the box that shows the correct number.
on a smaller number, and so now it gives me a small number of critters, and I want to count how many there are and click on the right box. So I look around, find that there are 4 of them, and
4. Well done.
it gives me that correct answer, and I'm trying to fill up those stars. If you wanted a little bit of a challenge, if you said, hey, that's really easy for me, what you could do is you could click to have a higher number of critters. So here,
Count,
I'm going to do
count.
count the
How high
critters
can
again,
you
but this time
count?
I'm going to click on this 10.
Count the critters in my
And
barnyard.
now it will go
Click
up
on the
to
animals as you
higher. It still
count to
starts
keep
out with a little
track.
lower, but
When
it'll
you're
go up
finished
to a
counting,
higher
4.
number as
Good
I
job.
go through and answer each one of these correctly. Let's see if it starts. There we go. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I would click
8.
the right number.
Yep.
And then there is
it.
that one other option that you could do if you tried Critter Counter of finding.
Find the number.
Finding
How
the
high
number.
can you count?
And it says, how high can you count? You know what, for this one, let's just say you are a super smart kindergartner. I don't even know if any kindergartner in the world can do this, but let's say you could count to 20.
Click on the critter that shows the number.
And
17.
you want to find the number 17, like the man just said. So you look around and see if you can figure out which one is the 17. Now this has a 1, but that's just the number 1. This has a 7. Oh, but that's just the number 7. Here is 17. So I'll give it a click.
17. Yep, that's it.
And then again, try to fill in those stars and see
15.
how many you can get. All right, there are tons of other things on Room Recess, and if you have a little extra time, if you're allowed, you could try some of the other ones too if you see any that you think might be fun. But I really hope that you like trying those things out today and had a good time, and I will see you next week.